Alright, so next up is algebra. Now, algebra is not the easiest topic, but if you're good in algebra, it will make the rest of the paper easier. So we kind of forcing the algebra on you here. And you'll see that algebra is really topics you're doing before, like fractions and stuff, with a mixtures of letters and numbers instead of just numbers alone. So look at this first one here. 3p squared plus 4p5, and I want you to simplify that. But let me just break this up into its pieces to show you what's taking place. So 3p squared is really 3 times p squared, which is really p times p. That's how we get p squared times 4, and p to the 5 is really p times p times p times p times p. P multiplying by itself 5 times. And I want to simplify this so numbers go together. So this is really 3 times 4, which is 12. And if p times p is p squared and p times p times p times p, 5p means p5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 p's multiplying together. So that's really p7, and does it. My answer finish. And you'll see our next one like that. I think when Mr. Yuki Singh doing her review. So here we have 3x over 4y cubed. This is a division, by the way. 21x squared over 20y squared. Now this looks pretty complicated, but like I said before, sometimes it's just the same topics we do all the time, but they have letters and numbers. We don't divide fractions. We have two fractions here. We don't divide fractions. What's the rule? Instead of dividing fractions, we flip and multiply. So this is really 3x, and if you want, you could break it up into its pieces. 4y cubed is really 4y. That's what 4y cubed going to be. Multiply, so we flip and multiply. We change some multiply, so we flip in 20y squared going to come on top. And if I want, I could rewrite 20y squared as 20y. And when I flip it, the 21x squared or 21xx going to go on the bottom. Now when I write it like this and break it up into its components, it's a little bit easier to see, because in fractions, yes, we're going to multiply top by top, bottom by bottom, but first we're going to see if anything going to cancel this way or this way. Start with your numbers first. 3 and 21 have any numbers in common? Yes. 3 into 3, 1. 3 into 21, 7. X and XX have anything in common? Yes. X going to pay off and cancel off. So all we remain within the bottom here is 7x, and all you remain within the top here is 1. Same thing on this side. 4y and 20y have anything in common? Let me start with the numbers first. 4 into 4, 1. 4 into 20, 5. Just like we'll do regular fractions, but just we have some letters involved now. 1y going to cancel off with 1y. 1y going to cancel off with 1y. So on the bottom here, I remain with 1y, the top with 5. Once I finish cancelling, just like in a regular fractions question, whatever remain on the top, you multiply those two together, and that answer going to go on the top. So on the top here, I have 1 times 5, which is 5. And on the bottom, I'm going to have 1y times 7x. 1 times 7 is 7. Y times x, xy, or yx. That's what that one is going to look like, and that's it for that one. Right, sorry about that. It was a little bit off the page here. Alright, so before we look at this one, I want to look at an easier version of this one, because this is the advanced version where I have letters on the bottom. Let me look at, again, very similar to fractions. This will be questions from which Ms. Deogi Singh doing for the live classes. So here I have 2x plus 3 over 3 plus x minus 4 over 4. Now just to recap quickly, if I wanted to add two fractions, which we would do before, let me say a half plus 2/3. The first thing I'm going to do is double check if the bottom numbers are the same, and if they're not, I find the LCM because I add in. 2 by 3, I multiply it together, I get 6, and then I say what I need to multiply 2 by to get 6, or I could cross multiply 3 by 1, 3, so I multiply by 3, multiply by 3. So 1 by 3 is 3, or I cross multiply and get 3. Same thing on this side. 3 by 2, 6, 2 by 2, 4, or I could take these two and multiply together, 4, and then we just add them up. Would you believe this question here is the same exact working? I want to add two fractions, don't mind they have letters in them, it's still fractions. So I need to find the LCM. What's the LCM of 3 and 4? 12. Put back my addition sign there. Now I want to write this whole thing out of 12. So to turn 3 into 12, I multiply by 4, and whatever you do the bottom, I need to do the top. So I want to multiply the top by 4 as well. But the problem is the top is not one piece. Now since the top is more than one piece, I have to multiply 4 by both of those pieces. And to let me know I'm multiplying 4 by both of those pieces, I could use my brackets. Because that's what brackets mean, and you've seen how we're going to get into expanding brackets just now. Same thing here. To turn this to 12, I multiply by 3, so I have to multiply the top by 3, but again, since it's more than one piece, I'm going to put it in brackets. And as a standard, I put the number in front, not behind, so that's why this number coming in front. Or, we cross multiply 3 by x minus 4, 4 by 2x plus 3, which is the same thing we get in just with the brackets. Now we're going to expand the brackets. Expand the brackets means everything in here I have to multiply by 4, which makes sense because I want to multiply both of these by 4 to increase them by a factor of 4. So 4 by 2, going to get my 8x, 4 by 3, 12. Make sure you multiply both pieces. This is expanding brackets by the number in front. Plus 3 by x, 3x, 3 by 4, 12, but a plus and a minus going to give me minus 12, where those rules where the signs are going to come in. All over 12. And then our group up was the same. So I'm going to group up all my x's, so I have 8x plus 3x, because the sign in front of that number belongs to that number. 8 plus 3, 11x. I'm going to group up the number terms. Plus 12 minus 12, well, that's 12, take out 12 zeros, so my answer is just 11x over 12, sorry. And that's what you're going to get. Again, the answer is going to still have x in it if you notice. Alright, so let's come back now to this much harder looking one, but you'll see is the same idea that we're going to use. Alright, so these are the two bottom numbers. I want to add them, so I have to find the LCM. How we find the LCM again? Just multiply the two bottom numbers together. The only difference this time is I'm going to leave them multiplying like that. So I'll multiply this by this. If this was 2 by 3, then 2 by 3 is 6, so I could just write 2 by 3. So I'm just leaving it in this form because that's the multiplication part. Now, to get this LCM, what this missing to get 7x minus 1 by x, we're missing by the times x. So I'm going to multiply by x on this side, because now I'll have 7x minus 1 times x on the bottom, and whatever you do to the top, sorry, the bottom you do to the top. Or in other words, we cross multiply and we get 3 by x, 3x plus, same thing on this side now. To get x times 7x plus 1, we need to multiply by 7x minus 1, and whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Or we cross multiply and you'll see we get in 1 times 7x minus 1, and 1 times anything is the same exact thing. And we done the first part. We simplify this, we could group it up now. Grouping up the letters, 3x plus 7x minus 1, so 3x plus 7x, 10x minus 1 over 7x minus 1 x. And the question didn't finish there. The question wants to actually solve this 0. So I'm going to cross multiply to get rid of the fractions, because I don't want this fraction here. I want to cross multiply. I'm going to get 10x minus 1 is equal to 0, because the only way I could get something as 0 is if the top equal to 0, the bottom could never equal to 0, sorry. So now I solve. I carry across the minus 1. So I have 10x is equal to 1, because the sign is going to change when I carry it across. So x is equal to 1 over 10. Now this is a lot harder than the one we looked at before, because it didn't ask me to solve either. But this is as hard as it normally comes in terms of a simplifying solving combo. Sometimes they just ask you to simplify, in which case you would have stopped here, but this one asks you to solve, and you'll see one of those again coming up in a bit. So here, same idea for this one here. This is word equations. They give me the stuff in words, and I have to come up with the equation for it. So when a number x is multiplied by 2 and the result is squared, it gives a new number y. So we have this number x, we're multiplying it by 2. So we could put the 2 in front, because when you put letters close to numbers, it means multiply. Number x is multiplied by 2, and that result is squared. We're going to square the whole thing. That result meaning the result of 2 by x, which is 2x. The whole thing is squared. We get in y. That's it. We finished the first part. 2x squared equal y. You don't need to put the multiplication sign in between. It understood when letters close to numbers, like in all of these questions up here. That's what it means. Determine. So now they want me to solve. Determine the two values of x that satisfy y equal x and the equation you write. So now they tell me y equal to x. That's what they're telling me. So we have 2x squared is equal to y, but now they're telling me y is equal to x. So in place of y, I could put x. So I'm really going to have 2x squared is equal, 2x all squared is equal to x. And if I wanted at this point here, I could expand that. 2 squared is 4, x squared. So I really have here 4x squared is equal to x, and I want to solve for this. So to solve for this, I'm going to put everything on one side and do the same thing I just do for this one, make something equal to 0. So when I carry across x, I get in 4x squared minus x is equal to 0. And this is where factorizing comes in. So I'm going to factorize out x, because factorizing coming in the next section as well. So both of them have an x in common. So x, 4x minus 1, x by x squared, x by 1, x. So the only way I can multiply two numbers and get 0 is if one of the numbers is 0. So if x is 0, x is 0. 0 times anything is 0. So one of my answers is x is 0. The next answer will be when 4x minus 1, the next bracket, is equal to 0. Because 0 times anything is 0, or 0 times any number is 0. So 4x minus 1 is 0. So I carry across the 1. So I get in 4x is equal to minus 1 goes across to plus 1. And to get 1x, 4 things cost $1. So one of them I divide by 4. So x is equal to a quarter. And again, these are some of the harder algebra questions. And you can see they're using factorization, which I'm going to look at in this one here to show you a little better. If you had forgotten what factorization looked like, we're going to look back at factorization. So they have different types of factorization. Factorization is the reverse of expanding a bracket. And that's what they're doing here. So let me look at this. 5h squared minus 12hg. Now remember, h squared is really h minus 12hg. Factorization means I want to pull out what they have in common. So start with the numbers first. 5 and 12 have anything in common? No. Nothing can go into 5 and 12. H and hg have anything in common? Yes, h. That is the factor they have in common to both of those pieces. So I'm going to pull it out. And you have two choices. You could do it in your head, or since expanding means multiply, factorization means I'm going to divide by the factor. So one of these h cancelling out, meaning I remain with 5h, because 5h by h is going to give me 5h or 5h squared, minus this h going to cancel out. 12g by h will give me 12hg or 12gh, and that's it. That's why it's 1 mark. This is the harder type of factorization. This is quadratic factorization. So for quadratic factorization, we have to write it as a quadratic, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. We're going to do this a while back. You can probably check back the videos on these to see what they look like. So in the A position, we have 2. In the B position, we have minus 1. The C position, we have minus 6. So the goal is to get two numbers, I don't know what they are yet, to add up to B, whatever B is. And in this question, B is minus 1. The same two numbers, I don't know what they are yet. When I multiply them, I must always give AC. And in this question, A is 2 times C is minus 6. So the number I really need to look at is this minus 12. So we're looking at numbers that can multiply to give minus 12. 2 by 6 will give 12. 4 by 3 will give 12. 12 by 1 will give 12. Now, out of these combinations, one of them should be able to give 1. The only combination here that coming close to giving 1 is 4 and 3. Could possibly give me 1 when I add or subtract them. So I find my two numbers, 4 and 3. However, the sign's off because 4 plus 3 is 7. 4 times 3 is minus 2. So that means one of these have to have a minus sign. Because the only way I can get a negative sign is if one of the numbers is positive and one is negative. This is going to determine that. So if I put the 3 as minus, 4 minus 3 is positive 1. So the minus sign can't go there. Minus 4 plus 3, I owe you $4. I pay you back 3. I still owe you 1. Minus 4 by 3, 12. So I find my two numbers. So the two key numbers is minus 4 and 3. What we're going to do with those two key numbers? We're going to rewrite the center of this. So instead of having 2x squared minus x minus 6, we're going to replace the minus x with minus 4x plus 3x. Because minus 4x plus 3x is minus 1x, which is what we start off with. So we're just rewriting it with these two numbers. And now we do a different type of factorization, which is grouping. So the first group, let me see what they have in common. 2x squared, 2xx minus 4x. 2 and 4 have any numbers in common? Yes, they have a number in common this time, which is 2. X squared and 4x have x in common. So when I pull out 2x as my factor, the 2 cancel, the x cancel, I remove with x. 2x by x will give me 2x squared. X cancel, 4 into 2, 2. So again, x minus 2. And even before I look at the next bracket, I know this is going to be in the next bracket, but let me check. 3x and 6, what they have in common? No letters in common, because this have a x and this have no letters. So 3 and 6 have 3 in common. So it's going to be plus 3. I divide this by 3, divide this by 3, 3 into 3 by x going to give me 3x, 6 into 3, 2, and you realize we get the same thing. So just like we pull out the 2x here or the 3 here, what does this line have in common? This line has x minus 2 common to both pieces. So that's the piece I'm going to pull out. I want to divide both pieces by x minus 2. I'm going to get 2x plus 3. Again, this is the hardest type of factorization that they have. And this is what it will look like, right? So don't stress too much on these. Remember, we're looking for things that you could do. I'm just showing you. In some pieces of algebra, it's going to be hard. Even if you do certain pieces, you'll get marks for it. But you can leave them out and come back. But try to leave as little as possible blank. Solving, again, you're getting marks for pieces along the way. So anytime you see a bracket, let me expand it out. 3 by r minus 5 will be 3r minus 5 by 3, 15. And now I want to solve. So it have two ways you could solve this. You have to know which side to put something on. So normally we keep letters on the left, numbers on the right, but you don't have to. I'm going to do it both ways. So from this point here, I'm going to put all the numbers, all the letters on the left hand side. So when I carry across something, the sign changed. That's going to be r minus 3r. Minus 15 stays here. I'm going to move across plus 3. It's going to become minus 3. So r minus 3r. R is really 1r. Don't forget that. If you don't see a number on it, it's understood as 1. So 1 minus 3 is minus 2r. Minus 15 minus 3. Again, we went through this in detail in several classes. I owe you $15. I take $3 more first, so now I owe you $18. So r will be minus 18. I take this number in front, put it below. The minus signs cancel out. 2 into 18, 9. Now this look a lot more complicated than, let me show you if we was to do same question, but I noticed that if I bring the r on this side, stuff going to be positive. Same question, right? Same thing, I'm just going to bring the r on this side. So if you notice that, you'll see how much easier it is when I don't have to deal with negative numbers. So I keep in the 3r here, but I'm going to bring across this r to join them, and when this plus comes across, it's going to be minus r. Same thing here. I keep in the plus 3 here. He didn't move. But I bring it across the minus 15, it will turn to plus 15. So now I get an 18, because 3 plus 15 is 18. 3r minus r, which is really 1r. 3 minus 1, 2r. So 2r is equal to 18. So two things cost $18. One of them will be 18 over 2, 9. So obviously this working was easier. But you have to notice sometimes if I put these certain things on one side or the next, it might be easier to see because it will be positive. Alright, last one for the algebra here. Change a subject or making something else the subject of the formula. We want to make k the subject of the formula. Now you have to do this in parts. You can't do it in one step. Right now these together. I can't split them up, so I'm going to get rid of anything that is extra. So the plus 3t is extra. So everything I have to ship across one step at a time. So when I carry across plus 3t, just like when I was solving here, when you carry across something, plus or minus, it's going to turn to minus 3t. So I have 2a minus 3t is equal to pi k squared. Now remember, I want k by itself. So right now this multiply by pi, because when the letters close to the numbers, that's what it means, causes a little bit of a problem. So once you do reverse and multiplying by pi, again, to get rid of anything, you do the reverse. So the reverse and multiplying by pi will be to divide by pi. What's going to happen when I divide by pi? The pi is going to cancel off, which is what I want. I want it to disappear. It did disappear because it cancel out and it go on, but whatever you do to one side, because I divide this side by pi, I have to divide this side by pi. So now I end up with k squared is equal to 2a minus 3t over pi. I don't want k squared though, I want k. How I get rid of squared? You reverse a square, just like in your calculators, to find the square root. That's how you get rid of square. So when I find the square root of k squared, I'm going to get k, but I need to find the square root of this side. So everything going on the square root brackets. And now that I have k, that's my answer. And again, you could see why algebra gives students trouble. All the questions I choose so far was from the past couple of years. Some is from January 2021. Some is from January 2020. And I think one or two is from June 2019. But most of them is very recent questions to show you what the exam looking like now and what they bring in. Up next, we're going to look at number 3, which is the construction and something else.